Okay, guys, I want to do a quick review over what my expectations are for you for the Lemonade War. Yesterday, we set up your notebooks, so you have your section. Um, First thing I want you to do is open up your book and put your name inside your book. I put Wandling right inside here. So open up your book, put your name inside your book. Pause this if you need to pause it to do that. Okay, the next thing I want you to notice, we had to rush through it so much, and really, Coach Garrett is a great football coach, but he is not the best reader. So I want to go over a couple of things that I wanted you to see. Plus, I was rushing because of time. First of all, we did our stop and jot. And if you'll look in our notebook here, we stopped and jotted on page 3 that Evan held his breath. I think he did this so his sister wouldn't find him. And so this is your book. So you can actually highlight in your book if you want to highlight in your book. So I got my highlighter out yesterday after I got home, and I reread the chapter real quickly. And I highlighted some important things. So Evan held his breath. He lay completely still, and then I stopped and jotted about that. I went back to page 2. There was something here. Page 2, it says, Jesse and Evan must have had a conflict, avoiding her for 2 days. And I highlighted that part. Hopefully, Jesse wouldn't be in the kitchen at all. He had been avoiding her for 2 days now, and it was getting harder by the minute. So I picture this. The author sets this up where he's laying on the floor in the dark, throwing a baseball up and down. Whack or thwop. It's just hitting whatever's above him. He's just laying there frustrated, and he's just letting that frustration out as he's sitting there. He's wanting to avoid seeing his sister, so there's something going on between the two of them. On page 4, I highlighted it was like having a chest full of bats beating their wings, fighting to get out. That was wonderful description of how he was actually feeling with the way that things were going on or whatever that had happened. He's just frustrated. He's angry. He went back to throwing the ball straight up, straight down. You can just kind of sense the frustration that's going on with him. Over here, he said, and he couldn't get into that. It was too complicated, too hurtful. So here he's talking to his sister. His sister finally figured out where he was, and he didn't want to open up this conversation because it was just going to be too hurtful, too complicated. All right. Then over on page 6, he felt a tiny flame of anger shoot up and lick his face. Wow. I mean, the way that this is written is just really incredible. Thwop. He's still throwing that ball up. He's arguing about the game here. With every throw, he told himself it's not her fault, but he could feel his anger growing. So he's trying to let go. He's trying to forgive. He's trying to move on, but it's not there. Now, see, I've highlighted here, and I would have jotted down my reasonings in my stop and jot. Okay, we get to page 8, and here I see a turning point. He was so angry and so humiliated. Humiliated means really embarrassed about what's going on, and so full of bats that there was nothing else he could see. So it refers back to those bats that are inside his chest. Let's see if I can find a pencil. Yeah. Humiliated, if you want to take the word humiliated and just right underneath it, write embarrassed, to be able to learn that word. Okay. And he's referring back to so full of bats. He's not really full of bats, but that's just those bats flap really, really hard, and that's the way he's feeling inside. Then look at this statement. Is this because of the letter? Jesse asked. Jesse asked the question, and see, and before it was going pop, thwop, all these thwop, and then all of a sudden, crack. Evan had taken his eyes off the ball for 1 second, just for 1 second, and the ball came crashing down on his nose. So he had maintained control until she asked about the letter. And the letter caused him to think, oh my goodness, and it's just crud. Oh, crud. He curled up and he's really hurt. So now he's not only hurting inside, he's hurting on his face because it hit his nose. Over here, then on page 9, it says, you don't know everything you know. You think you do, but you don't. So he's telling Jesse, you don't know everything. You think you know everything, but you don't. She's talking about his face. And then on page 9, there's more evidence here that Jesse and Evan are really having a problem. I came down here to get away from you, and you just had to follow. You ruined everything. You ruined my summer, and you're going to ruin school. So this is showing me that the whole summer, it turned out to be bad, and it's probably has something to do with this letter, because that's where a turning point. And this would be kind of like the mini heart of this particular, it's just this chapter. So it's not the heart of the whole story, but it's the chapter. Okay, so now I want you to stop this video, make sure you have your notebook and everything out. You are going to listen to Mr. Chappelle read chapter 2. And then make sure that you do your stopping and jotting, highlight if you need to. And then at the end of chapter 2, you're going to need to write your summary for chapter 2. And oh, by the way, you need to write a quick little summary for chapter 1 as well. So get that in there. Setting, we can now see that we're at the house. We're at their house, the Evans home. Evan's house is one of the settings. So we could go ahead and slide that right in there. Okay. You've got several things to do. One, you also need to do a who's reading question. Okay, so who's reading question. This may need to be what you start with tomorrow, is doing who's reading questions for at least one. You have 4 who's reading questions due this week, 1 a day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you're not going to be here one day, you need to get ahead of the game. You can do a who's reading question at home now. Whenever you can get those done in the car, there's an app, whatever. Okay, y'all have a great day, and we will see you for chapter 3 tomorrow.